Alright, tabs and units. You can't have one without the other. They're the most integral part of tabs, which is probably the most immediately obvious thing about the game. Like, of course units are important. Take them out and there is literally no game to play. But I feel that units are important for more reasons than just that, and the way that units are implemented is also pretty essential for tabs to work as well as it does. Some bold claims, I know, but this is probably a good time to warn you that this video is more theory based than previous ones. I do provide strong evidence, but this could be one giant coincidence. I highly doubt it is, but bear in mind landfall has never outright said this is the way things are. But with all that out of the way, please enjoy the video. Alright, now back to the main question at hand. How do units work? And what do I mean by the way they work is essential for tabs to work as well as it does? Well, the most basic explanation would be that units are tools and shouldn't carry the player. As soon as units start providing the player with an easy way out is when you start having problems. For example, the Pirate Queen, the only true instance of an overpowered unit, or was the only true instance, I ran a Terry's over. And before you lot go on about units you think are OP, they aren't, can almost guarantee that. They may be good, but using them incorrectly will punish you. Like the Reaper, I still see people saying this guy is busted. He really isn't. Anyway, pre-patch there was no incorrect way of using the Pirate Queen at all. You could place her down and you've pretty much won no matter the level you did it on, which obviously presents a problem. With this unit in that state, tabs no longer had strategy. However, after the patch landfall added in the legacy update, she is much more in line with what I presume landfall was going for in the first place. Alright, back to the whole units are tools statement I made earlier, making me sound like one of the biggest nerds insecure about their hobby. For the record, I'm not, alright. Like tools, tabs units are good at filling a specific role, some roles being broader than others. The reason for this, I presume, is that landfall wanted a unit for every possible situation, but had to do this with a reasonable number of them, without things getting out of hand. This is why you see units like the Berserker and Thor, seemingly busted units, but in reality they're perfectly balanced. It's just what they do as units allows for more versatility, and as such were designed with a wider use in mind. Then there's units like the Ballista and Shouter, seemingly useless units, but in reality they just fill a very specific role that no other unit could realistically fill. So some units are naturally capable of filling lots of roles, and also the fact that we have these very versatile and seemingly better units is because landfall saw that they could take out several birds with the one stone, or several potential scenarios with one unit. And the seemingly worse ones are because the way they fundamentally work means that they can only fill one role, and exist because landfall couldn't include the fulfillment of that role in another unit. Which is why how good a unit is rarely based on its performance, and more about how many situations it's good for. On top of this, all units have weaknesses and aren't capable at certain situations, no matter how good the unit is. So it's up to the player to effectively use these tools, learn their ins and outs, and recognize when and when not to use them. This all means that tabs is much more about player skill than anything else. Much like how an army is only as effective as the general that commands it, which I guess means that the totally accurate part of the title is more literal than you might think. Having units set up like this makes the gameplay loop feel very rewarding and pretty engaging, as you actually have to think carefully about how you tackle levels, and the fact that there is a huge payoff for learning how each unit works. However, there are of course those edge cases, like the Dragon and Fanbearer, which are actually useless, and the fact that a few unit roles do overlap. But for the most part, remove any unit from tabs and you have an unbalanced game. Landfall has truly done an amazing job designing this game, and it's not even finished yet. So just to recap, the way that Landfall has set up units means that they don't carry the experience, and requires the player to know how to effectively use them, which makes the strategy aspect of this game feel quite engaging and rewarding. On the whole, player interaction in tabs is pretty innocent. We have unit possession and the bugged DLC. Unit possession is a pretty fun feature which can enhance some levels, and there are even entire campaigns centered around this feature. However, it can also be used to beat levels you wouldn't have otherwise won. But I don't think it disrupts the strategy of the game. It seems pretty harmless. The bugged DLC, however, yeah, there's no excuse for that. Turning these features on pretty much kills strategy, and they can be used in any level. But I'm not mad at their inclusion, and when I'm playing normally, I just ignore them. I mean, the option to turn them on is there, so if you have no self-control, you'll probably just use them to beat all the hard levels. But for the majority of people, them being in the game is pretty innocent. Lastly is the unit creator. currently unreleased, I know, but I can still make some predictions on how I think it'll affect strategy. There is a lot of room for abuse here. All you have to do is make an extremely OP unit, price it at a coin, and win the day, which wouldn't be good for strategy. However, the unit creator has so much potential. Just think of what fun levels could come out of this. Now people can make levels with not only unique setups and price budgets, but now they can include completely unique units. In the right hands, this feature can produce so many fun levels that are completely unique from the last. But taking a step back, how good is this for strategy? Looking at the sheer abundance of new weaponry that's going into this new feature, it's going to add a lot more for the player to have to think about. Comparing this to the points I made in this video, it definitely benefits strategy. Even though there are so many weapons going into this, it's still controlled. Landfall knows everything that's going in, and maybe a large majority of what is added has a specific purpose in mind. Or at the very least, I trust that Landfall will provide adequate assets for those who want to make balanced and role-filling units. As watching overpowered units clear an entire screen of ice giants is cool, strategy makes for a way more fun gameplay experience.